Homosexuality is a sin, and God shall smite you to hell, where you shall burn for an eternity. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Sean here, and this is my video response to Trisha Hershberger's Naked Truth vlog on sexuality, dealing with equality for the LGBT community. Now, before I get started in the video, I'm just going to state that the opening of the video, I was being sarcastic. Hopefully you could understand that I was being sarcastic, but unfortunately a lot of people can't seem to grasp the art of sarcasm, and they need stuff explained to them. So that was sarcasm. Now, my opinion on the matter is, before I get on my opinion, I just want to address something that Trisha Hershberger had stated. She said that a lot of people use the excuse who are against homosexuality that it's not natural. And then she made the statement of, well, who decides what's natural? Well, I'll tell you who decides what's natural, Ms. Hershberger, and that would be nature. Now, let's look at nature in terms of how it deals with species. The most important aspect of a species, or the most important thing a species wants to do, is survive. How do you ensure that a species survives? Multiplication of that species, reproduction. How do you reproduce? There's two ways. You have a male, you have a female. They mate. They have a child. That child is born, and that process continues. You also have self-replication. You have a single species that is able to replicate itself, and is able to replicate itself, and so forth. Now, humans, we go with the mating aspect of it. Now, a man cannot physically mate with another man and produce an offspring. A female cannot physically mate with another female and produce an offspring. This is where the argument of it being natural or unnatural comes into play. Now, I know nature has abnormalities. Does that sound like it's a bad word? Anyway, of that nature. And you know what? Just because something isn't natural does not mean that it's wrong. Doesn't mean that it's lesser. It doesn't mean anything negative that you can attach to it. It just means that it's different. Now, on to my opinion on the equality for gays and homosexuals. I personally believe that everybody should be treated equal in this country. Everybody should have the same rights as everybody else, regardless of whether it's for marriage, for taxes, for what's the thing called where, okay, for example, if your spouse was laying in a hospital bed in a vegetative state and you wanted to give consent to end their life and let them die peacefully, well, there are some couples in the gay community that aren't recognized to be able to do this, and they have the right to do that, and just all the other things. But full equality, I guess, just pretty much sums it all up. Unfortunately, they don't have it. Unfortunately, this country has a history of boasting freedoms and equality, and this country has a history of going to other nations and pointing the finger at them and saying, you need to do a better job with your equality and human rights issues, when we ourselves don't exactly follow them to the letter that we state other people should. And that's really pathetic, in my opinion, and it's hypocritical. What's also hypocritical is that there are some women out there who are against giving rights. It doesn't matter whether you are it doesn't matter whether you agree with the lifestyle or not, or whether it's for you. Nobody's telling you that you have to be this way. All they're asking for is equality, and there's a certain hypocrisy coming from women who are against it, and there's a hypocrisy from blacks who are against it, and minority groups who are against it, because there was a point in time in this country's history where you were fighting for your equality, or women were fighting for their equality, blacks were fighting for their equality. So for those two to sit here now and not allow or not want gays to have the same rights that their forefathers or generations before them fought for is hypocritical in itself. Yeah, I think that's the point I was trying to make. Another thing I want to touch on is two theories I have on homosexuality and why it exists. Because there are some people that it really boggles their mind. I mean, you know, they can't understand it, or they don't know why it exists. And they're pretty much like, what is there not to understand about attraction? You know, somebody's attracted. You're attracted to what you're attracted to. So you should be able to go, okay, well, I'm attracted to this, and this person is attracted to that. I'm not attracted to that, but I can understand why somebody would have attraction towards something else. Am I making sense, or am I just like rambling and tripping over words and repeating myself? Anyway, two theories I have: one religious, one scientific, and I'll try to get through them really quick without babbling. Religious is a test. And it's not just homosexuality is a test. Everything in life is a test. You know, how you treat people is a test. How people treat you is a test. How you react to how people treat you is a test. If you have a good day, that's a test. You have a bad day, that's a test. If you get a new job, that's a test. If you get fired from your job, that's a test. If you lose your keys, your reaction to that's a test. If somebody asks you for a ride to the store, that's a test. Everything in life is generally a test, and homosexuality is no different, but it's not the test for the homosexuals. No, it's a test for heterosexuals. It's a test for heterosexuals to see how they treat homosexuals and things of that nature. It's like how they respond to something that is different. And then, of course, the heterosexuals are tested in how they respond to how they are treated. Constant, ongoing, endless test given to us by whoever lives up in there. But anyway, and the whole Bible aspect of it is pretty amazing, because people tend to pick and choose what they want from the Bible that best supports their argument that they are giving, and they don't follow the whole Bible. And we all do it. Somebody makes a statement about why homosexuality is wrong. They quote stuff from the Bible. Somebody wants to argue that quote, they'll quote stuff from the Bible. I'm going to quote stuff from the Bible. Not verbatim, but I'm just going to bring up 2 points from the Bible. Bible states that you should not judge and do unto others as you would have them do unto you. People tend to forget these things. They ignore these things because they're too busy being self-absorbed in their own little world and trying to push their will on other people, as opposed to just being decent human beings full of love and compassion when the time calls for it. So that's the Bible aspect of it. It's the test. Now, the scientific aspect of it is, this gets a little bit tricky, and I'm going to try to explain it, and hopefully they won't come across as being negative or anything of that nature. I'm in the sunlight. I'm out of the sunlight. What was the nature? Okay, you have a male, you have a female. They mate. They produce an offspring. Well, the sperm fertilizes the egg. The egg is fertilized, and then it starts to grow into a person. But it goes to the embryo and then the fetus. I'm not really sure, but there's a point in time where the sex isn't decided. Now, all that genetic information, DNA coding, is within that organism, but it just hasn't decided whether it's going to be a male or a female. And then at one point it decides, all right, well, let's just say it goes, well, this is going to be a female. So it takes the physical form of the female, the DNA that has the physical characteristics of the female, and it turns them on. Now, it's supposed to turn on the characteristics in the personality that makes them attracted to men, and turn that on to go with the female aspect of it. But it doesn't. Instead, it turns on to being attracted to females, which that DNA coding is in there, because, like I said before, all the information is there before it decides what sex is going to be. So it turns on the coding to make it a physical female, and then it turns on the coding to make it attracted to females. And the same thing with the men. You have physical characteristics of a man that gets turned on, and instead of turning on the characteristics that says, hey, you like women, it turns on the characteristics that says, hey, you like men. Or it may even turn on both to form bisexuality. And that's a simple way to think about it, and a scientific way to think about it, and it actually makes sense, because it explains, if nature is about this aspect, then why do you have this that sort of contradicts that aspect of it? Well, this can explain it. It's just, I don't want to call it a glitch or anything of that nature, because that sounds negative, but I'm going to call it a glitch because that would be what it is. And again, it doesn't make it bad. It doesn't make it negative. I mean, there could be all kinds of reasons why nature would, maybe nature does it on purpose. There could be all kinds of reasons why nature would go, okay, we're going to make this man attracted to this man. Maybe that's a form of population control. Maybe nature goes, okay, these things are, of course, homosexuality's been around for a long time. But, you know, there's all kinds of ways that you can go with this, and all kinds of theories that you can come up with. And it's fun to come up with theories, just as long as you don't let the theories overrun you to an emotional level that produces hatred. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the Bible says, what the science says, what my theories are, what your theories are, just as long as everybody's treated equally and fairly and with just common decency. That's all that matters. And hopefully soon we'll be past this issue and on to the next issue that we're undoubtedly going to have to deal with, because human beings are just, well, they're human. Anyway, this has been my video response to Trisha Hershberger's Naked Truth vlog on sexuality. Catch you on the flip side.